Let me guess. You've been getting smoked by King every day and want to quit Tekken. You've been getting thrown, smacked and grabbed like you're actually in the UFC. Well, I have the solution for you. Flex tape!
Holy look at all this damage! And we're gonna repair it using Flex Shot.
Or an anti-King guide. Take your pick. So you chose the guide. Smart choice. King is probably the single most free character in this game at the moment. Victor, free. Azucena, pretty damn free. June, free as fuck. King. Every single King main got issued a personal refund for their game by Harada. That's how free he is. But it's okay, because I'm going to explain how to lose just a little less. King's main selling point is his throws. There is no sugarcoating it. If you want to beat King more, watch my Tekken 8 throw break guide. You will win against 80% of all online Kings if you play simply using the information from that video. Now if you watch the video, you will know that most throws are high, which means you can duck them. King has some extremely strong mids to compensate for this, which is why it's a good idea to actually break throws. But let's get into this anti-King guide so you can smoke any King who tries to break your back. Now something you've probably been cheesed by is down forward 3-4 and its follow-ups. Mid follow-up option is -15. Most characters in this game can straight up launch at 15 frames, so launch it. And the low option is very reactable and is -10, which means you have to parry it, so it may take a couple of tries to start punishing this, but it is really easy. Alley kicks, these are all launch punishable, so launch them. They're also very reactable once you've lapped them for more than 30 seconds. Back 1-2 is a commonly spammed King move, -13, punish it. Back turn 3, commonly used cheese, -13, punish it. Back 3 is one of King's key moves and is actually good in Tekken 8 as it's a power crush mid with good range, but it is -10 and is steppable, so punish it. Up forward 1-2 is also steppable, so punish it. Another commonly spammed move is his hop kick. King mains will have you believing that this move is safe, but it's not. It's -13, so punish it. 1+2-1 is -13. Forward 2 is -5, so take your turn. Don't wait for him to add anything, take your turn. Every hit of forward 2 down 1-2 is hit confirmable, but all hits are unsafe with the last hit being launch punishable. Punish it. Forward 4, which is King's home in mid, is -9, so definitely take your turn. Down forward 1-2 is -10. Down forward 2-1 is -4, so take your turn. Down 1-2 is -11. Down back 2 is -5. Down 1+2. Launch. King has a whole bunch of Oki options that could honestly just be on its own video. However, the most commonly used things you will see from a scrub King player are backflip and burning knuckle. Tech roll backflip, stay on the ground for burning knuckle, easy peasy. Now most of King's mids are extremely good on hit. They do punish you for ducking him, that's what they're there to do. However, on block it's a different story. For the most part, they either have bad frames or are just straight up punishable. To compensate for this, King does have a very good jab string as well as a very strong down forward 1, which is only -1 on block, which can be extremely frustrating to play against. You really need to be patient and pick your spots on when to attack King if you play a character that needs to be up close and personal. Get a feel for what the King likes to do with his jab string and don't just brainlessly hit after you see a down forward 1, as King has basically every option available to counter this as it's only -1. For the most part, what I would do is space him out. Be at a correct range where you don't even have to deal with the down forward 1 or the jabs. Simple. King's movement in this game is atrocious and all of his approach tools have bad frames on hit. Spacing and playing keep out against King is a very viable strategy. Using high crushing moves can also be a way to get out of this jab pressure. High crushing moves are generally just a good idea, as it almost kinda takes throws out of the equation, which is why Xiaoyu is so frustrating for a King player, although Xiaoyu probably crushes half of King's mids too.
You see, alright.
So there's that as well, but you get what I'm saying. Now you've made it to the part where we actually talk about what you clicked on the video for. Now King is a grappler, the only grappler in the game currently, and being a grappler, now King has to be a little quirky and different with his throws, meaning his giant swing throw is a 1 break, however it looks like a 1+2 throw. There is a slight difference between the two animations, but not much. King's Shining Wizard throw is a 1+2 break, and has the exact same animation as the giant swing, meaning if executed perfectly becomes a mix-up. This is just King's design and something you have to deal with, although this really only applies to very good King players. Against scrub Kings who can't do instant while running moves, you will see them dash before the throw, so you know it's a Shining Wizard, so you click 1+2. And once you recognize the giant swing animation, it becomes abundantly clear what your King is going for. You could also just duck and punish to completely ignore the mix-up too, but I've said this enough already. The only other standard grabs that King will usually go for is the Tijuana Twister, which you can break just by pressing 2 because it is a 2 break. Also Executioner's Drop, which is a 1+2 break that wall splats. King's chain grabs have a similar thing going on with their animation mix-up. As far as I know, they all have the same grab animation, however they are all 1 or 2 breaks. Before these throws, you can see King do a very noticeable wave dash movement, which is your cue to guess a break or duck. Keep in mind when ducking that King does have knockdown mids from wave dash. It's also a guessing game between 1 or 2 when King goes for a ground grab. Now King has a lot of grabs, so in the low rank most King players tend to only remember 1 chain grab and 1 ground grab, so once you figure out what they're doing, more than likely you can just keep breaking them. Now looking at King's chain grabs can be pretty intimidating as he does have 376,000 of them, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of them. Chain throws will either come from this wave dash animation or Jaguar step, or in one unique circumstance side step, so you know what you're dealing with immediately, so you can just duck or guess the break. I would say 80% of the time against the scrub King is just a good bet to do a 1 break, as the arm breaker is the only chain grab half the King players seem to learn because it's the easiest to do. Reverse arm slam is a 1 break. Now this is going to sound like bad advice, but just mash 1, and if you don't break the chain after this slam, you start mashing 1 or 2, you will eventually break this, I'm telling you. King can technically mix up the 1 and 2 breaks in this chain, but I'm telling you, just mash it after the slam, something will hit. Reverse special stretch is a 2 break. King can do this from a side step too, so if you see this animation, just click 2. If you didn't break it, follow my advice like last time and just mash 1. However, if you get to this point and haven't broken anything, mash 2, as the muscle buster is the more damaging option for King in this situation. Of course, I failed to mention if you just have a straight read on what the King is going for, then do that, because this is just essentially a guessing game. However, knowing damages and what Oki he gets and stuff is good intel that helps you guess what they are going for. Standing heel. The grab is a 2 break, but if you don't break it, 90% of the time you're going to do a 1+2 break to get out of the chain, because the 1+2 route does 85 damage and everything else does 55 damage. So unless you have the hardest of reads, always break 1+2 here. Arm breaker is a 1 break. This is probably one of King's more frustrating chain grabs. If you miss the initial grab, it's a guessing game between a 50 damage 1 break and a 60 damage 2 break. However, King has one more option from arm breaker, the chicken wing face lock, which is a 1+2 break. Now if you guess the wrong break and end up like a chicken wing, 90% of the time you will just be mashing 2, because being hit by a rolling death cradle is essentially the end of your round as it does 100 damage. There is a 1 break throw as an alternative to this that does 65 damage, but at this point to me it's better to just count your losses and avoid an RDC at all costs. Jaguar sprint is probably something all of us have been cheesed by. King can be hit out of this animation just by jabbing, so he can't do this up close to you, however. If correctly spaced, you have a few options. Sidewalk block beats every option from Jaguar sprint outside of the unbreakable throw. King does have a homing option from this stance, but can be blocked if you block immediately after your sidestep. It is tricky though. If you think the King is going for the throw, simply duck and launch. This stance is very good, don't get me wrong, but in the end of the day, it is just a 50-50 essentially. In Heat, King does get a souped up version of this stance however. The only difference is though, that you cannot hit him out of that animation as he'll just armor right through it. Whilst we're talking about King in Heat, King also regains heat time from hitting Giant Swing and Shining Wizard, which is broken, but it is a thing. So like I said at the beginning of the video, spacing a King is key. But now in summary, King has a very strong down forward 1 and jab string, meaning he can more than likely outpoke you up close. How we counteract this is with correct spacing. All of King's approach tools have bad frames on block, meaning you can always just take your turn if he does any of them. Outside of the down forward 1 and jab strings, King's pokes are usually very bad on block or just straight up unsafe, so get very familiar with your 10 frame punish and 15 frame punish. Next, pick your spots on where you want to duck. Ducking and launching King can swing games, but the same can be said if the King hits you with a vicious mid. And finally, the chain grabs. Listen to what I said about them as many times as you need to remember. But just remember that even if they are essentially just a guessing game, having info on damages, oki, positioning can give you a very educated guess on what they want to go for. Go destroy every King play who ever hurt you and avenge your bloodline.